Well, hello, everyone. Welcome back to Serving Up Success with a Splash. I'm Angie Snowball, your Renaissance woman, and I'm here today with.
Bruce Cramer, your corporate cockroach. And I gotta say, I'm a little nervous about this episode. I don't have Dr. D at my side, so I'm at the mercy of Angie.
I know I'm steering the boat, so this is going to be so fun. I love when I'm in charge, it's wonderful. Oh, yeah. So we are missing Dr. D. He is probably knee deep in wineries right now on holiday. So I'm sure he's having a wonderful time. But we are going to miss him. And today we are going to talk about procrastination. And I look, I have these little notes that I make so I don't forget to say something. But let's be honest, this is something I'm really, really good at. I'm fantastic at procrastinating. And I'm hoping that Bruce will teach me how not to be fantastic at procrastinating. So as always, we're going to get started with a drink, though. Bruce, tell us about my favorite drink.
Yes. Well, and notice she did not procrastinate as it
No.
related to getting to the drink. So
Good.
so in full disclosure, I am not drinking this wonderful drink called Here We Go Hugo. And the reason for it is I don't really particularly care for foliage in my liquor. And so let me just quickly recap the ingredients. So it's like 4 to 5 fresh mint leaves, uh-uh, 1 to 2 lime wedges if you want the extra brightness. And then it's 1 ounce of elderflower liqueur. I don't think I'd ever take that off the shelf. And then 4 ounces of chilled Prosecco, 2 ounces of soda water, and that's like club soda, sparkling water, whatever. And then, of course, ice cubes. And what you do is you put it in a large wine glass and you don't crush those mint leaves. You just kind of take your muddler and muddle them just a little bit. And if you got the lime in there, it kind of gives it that aroma. I don't like that. But anyways, then you add the liqueur, the elderflower that is, fill the glass with ice, pour in the chilled Prosecco, and then you just stir it gently and you're pretty much off and running. And you can put a little sprig of mint or whatever you like, and it should be pretty crispy, light, and sweet. Kind of like Angie, I hate to admit it, but there
Aw,
she's got
thanks,
she's
Bruce.
got you show them what it actually looks like.
Yeah, this is what it looks like. And I love these because when I was living in Germany, my niece, who was 14 at the time, but that's okay in Germany. Apparently this one's okay. She taught me how to make these. And I was like, oh, what a great summer drink. It's really light. And then I learned also from my niece as she got older that it's a lot more fun if you take the water and the ice out of there and just do Prosecco and elderflower sauce, elderflower liqueur. So that's what we do now. It was funny too because in German it's Holunder, and they kept trying to explain to me what an elderberry was. And I'll be honest, I didn't know what the hell it was in English. I was like, what? I don't know what an elderberry looks like. Like I know the word, but I didn't know what it looked like. And they're describing it to me. I was like, I don't know. So it was years I was just walking around American markets like, do you have Hollanders liqueur? Anyway, I love it. I even grow mint for it. So cheers.
Cheers. Hey, by the way, everyone, thanks for joining. Our views are going through the roof, and it's all thanks to you. We could not be more grateful. Don't forget, too, to send us questions. You can, funnel them
Topics.
in. Yep, yep. You can send us questions during this as well as after. Don't ever be afraid to get a hold of us. Let us know some topics and things you'd like to discuss, and we will definitely accommodate.
Yeah, because we fly by the seat of our pants. We usually make up a topic a few days before this rolls when Sam makes us put in the flyers. So we got plenty of time to give you the topics you want to hear. But I was thinking procrastination is something everybody's dealt with at some point or in their life or another, or I think you're lying. But anyway, Bruce, let's talk about your week. First of all, how was your week? And then tell me, did you procrastinate even just this week?
Oh, it's been a very busy but productive week. And yes, I'm human. And the reason why this subject scares me, this is one that I'm constantly challenged. And as we get through the episode here, you'll hear more and more about what that actually looks like in my life. But yes, I did procrastinate, but not on the big stuff, not on the stuff that's going to bring in the money,
Yeah.
or the stuff that makes a big difference for me personally as it relates to my abilities, etc. So the big stuff I did very well, but you're going to hear what I like to do sometimes, and it's not good.
Well, I think you already hit on a key point, accountability. I mean, it's nice to have a person hold you accountable, but let's be honest, dollars and cents hold us real accountable. So the big things have
Yes,
to get done. So that's a certain
yes.
amount of accountability. But also, like I think that like anything, what is the root cause of procrastination? Because you can't fix something unless you know what really is causing it, right? And everybody's going to have slightly different versions of this, but at the heart of it all is getting overwhelmed. So we have this to-do list, we have things to do, and we look at it and think, oh my God, this will never happen, or oh my God, this will suck so much. Not only do I not want to start, I don't know where to start. So being overwhelmed is a big problem. Being out of your comfort zone is a big problem. There's a lot of different reasons why we procrastinate, but that's the first thing I think we have to do is sit down and like what is stopping me. I know for me, being overwhelmed is one of them. Like I'll look at my to-do list and think, oh my God, I'm never going to get that done. So why don't I just go outside and hang out with my neighbor and walk my dog instead? So that's one of the reasons I procrastinate. What about you, Bruce? What's a thing that makes
I,
you procrastinate?
Yeah, so I would say so as everybody knows, we do string these episodes together sometimes with purpose. So like last week, we talked a lot about clarity. And I do want to say clarity is one of the very first steps is to get clear as to what it is you need to do. But here's my downfall. So just like you, and I've mentioned this, I believe it was last week. I do create that hit list at the start of the day. I reflect on, what I did the day before, what it is I'm looking to accomplish, where do I see the pitfalls, and then I assemble my list. The bad thing is, because of my competitive nature, I now have this list of things. And damn, if I don't gravitate towards the busy is easy stuff, just so
Yeah.
I can just so I can check that shit off the list. And I'm sitting here by 10 a.m. in the morning, go, yeah, I got like half this list done. The problem is it's not the big stuff.
Yeah.
And
But
so,
sometimes we need that to get the ball rolling, right? Like if
yeah,
you're really frozen, sometimes it
yeah,
is easier. I know I've even like, and you can make fun of me all you want. I'm used to it. I make fun of myself. But I will put things on a list that I've already done because I want to check it off. Like, okay, this is what I had to do this weekend.
oh
All right,
yeah,
grocery store, I already did it. It's still going on the list and I'm checking it because I feel like I did something. So I think it's a balance, right? You got to do something to get started, get the ball
yeah.
rolling. But you're right. There's a time we have to go get the big one. I'll tell you one thing I hate, and I love Focal Point. Everyone knows how much I love Focal Point, but they have this thing that says "eat the frog," and I cannot think of a more disgusting way to say. It sounds like I do not want to eat frogs, like ever. It's like something I don't want to do. So we're not using that terminology here. But Bruce and I do have like a kind of like a three-step thing that we want to share with you about how we really beat procrastination. Because, like we were saying, everybody's going to be different. Everybody's going to have a few different causes and different things they procrastinate, different tells. Everything's going to be different. But these three things will definitely help anyone. So you can adjust these and adapt them to whatever your specific situation is. So Bruce, I'm going to hand it over to you and get us started on these three steps.
Yeah, I'm gonna back the bus up just a little bit
Damn it, Bruce. Did
because
I say you could do
I,
that?
well,
I'm just
well,
kidding. Back it
because
up.
it was something, right? This was something we talked about a while ago, nothing related to this episode. But what people don't understand, there's a cost to procrastination, an absolute cost to procrastination. And I know you once said to me, well, did anything ever happen to you where it really, uh, I got four things: money, 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 and relationships. There,
I
it's
love
either
it.
going to be money. So, very early in my career, I had procrastinate. There were times that on on large projects that I was involved with, for whatever reasons, as that leader, there were some tasks that because, I just didn't like it or whatever, got left till the end. And it led to overruns, so budget overruns. I've also had situations where I'm working on campaigns, marketing campaigns, and I'm forever tweaking this, that, whatever, and it goes out 2 months later. Well, the campaign's a huge success. So all I can think of was the opportunity cost. Man, if I
That's
would
what I
have
was
done
gonna
this
say.
2 months ago, I would
Yeah.
have had an extra 30 grand in my pocket.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then the other thing is that I've done throughout my career, not intentionally, is I will think in terms myself that this isn't the priority. But from another perspective or a team member on the team, it was. And then it got a little uncomfortable. And then I was kind of like, oh shit, I don't know if I want to lean into that right now. We got so many things going on. And that actually sort of eroded the relationship of some of my team members. So I've become, very aware that, for me personally, I always think in terms of money or relationships could be at stake while you're procrastinating.
Yeah.
Now,
And I like that you hit opportunity too.
yeah, the
Because
opportunity
opportunity
cost.
isn't always relationship or money. Sometimes it's something you'll never get back. It's that the time you
Oh,
missed meeting that person, or the time
oh,
someone
that's a
took
great
that
point.
great idea and they did it before you because you were putzing around trying to make it perfect. And now you're not the first. There's 10 of them, there's 100 of them. So
Yeah.
opportunity and time. I mean, we're kind of like that. We're a weird podcast. We're different. And but we're unique. And that's because Bruce did not putz around. He's like, hey, we're doing this. Show up with wine. I said, okay, let's go. So we're doing it. And we are doing a break. And then when we come back, then we're going to talk about the three things. Thank you so much for backing me up, Bruce. That was totally needed.
No, great point at the end there because you're absolutely right.
Yeah. All right, Jesse, take us to break. Tell you what I'm missing is Natej's moves. He really gets into the song, especially for a Brit. That's like a lot of movement he's got going on.
Well, and his glasses. He always, he
Yeah.
has different pairs of glasses and
And he's super smart. He always says smart stuff.
yeah, yeah. So look out.
Sorry, guys, you just got us today, but we're fun. All right, Bruce, let's do
All
something
right.
productive.
So we talked about a little bit about what can you do to stop procrastination. That's kind of this segment of the show. And there's a big buzz. Well, I shouldn't say that. This thing called positive intelligence. We had an episode on
Mhm.
emotional. Well, there's also a lot of buzz around this positive intelligence. And basically, it outlines kind of how you self-sabotage yourself. And we're all guilty of it. It's, again, it's about awareness. This whole body of work just makes it crystal clear. Well, what does that mean? And what does it mean to you personally?
I'm
And one
taking it
of,
right now. And guess what my number one is? Go ahead, tell them what one
yeah,
is. That's my
well,
number one.
and it's a big part of procrastination, and it's a very popular saboteur. It's the avoidance
Mhm.
saboteur.
Yeah,
And
I think I
so
agree.
what this really is all about is you're avoiding doing something that's on your list that you need to get done. And what you want to do is name it. And there's a phrase that's used, name it to tame it. So if you're avoiding doing something, you want to ask yourself, why? Is it because you hate just doing it? Is it because you have some fear? It's very complex. It might lead to something that raises your discomfort. You want to name it. We'll go into more details around that. But you want to stop and think, why am I avoiding doing this? And make sure you come to terms with that.
Yeah, it's like
There's a,
that little voice in your head is kind of what I'm
yeah,
learning. That one that says, this is not going to be fun. This is,
yeah.
and what I'm learning is you really just have to, like you said, name it and tell it to shut up. You really
Yeah.
have to like, it's your voice. You can tell it to shut up. So it's
Yeah,
just like, okay,
one of
yeah.
my big ones is in one of my businesses, I actually worked with the accounting firm that kept the books for us, but I always had to do the first pass of reconciling the ledger of accounts.
Mm.
Well, good God. If you let, and typically I would meet with the accountant every 3 months and we'd go through to make sure everything was cast correctly and keep me out of trouble. And, but there were thousands of entries. And so one of the things he would say, just Bruce, on a monthly basis or at the end of each week. And I hate doing it. So I wouldn't do that. And then it would be a month would go by, 2 months, and it would just kill me. So
Then you got
my
a mountain.
avoidance saboteur was, I just don't like doing that. And I hate it. It's a tedious job. But as one of the owners of the business, I'm the only one that can really answer as to what was that money spent for? And so, but that's just an example of by naming it and calling it out, because the flip side of that is we got to keep the books and they got to be clean, accurate. And so get over it, Bruce. You're avoiding it for kind of a bullshit reason. The second thing, so that's one, name it to tame it. And we're going to talk more about that. The second one is shrink the mountain, because as Angie so elegantly stated at the top of the show, it's because we're overwhelmed.
Mhm.
And a lot of times, when we talk, like I said earlier, I didn't sacrifice any of the important tasks. Did I do a little bit of procrastination? Yeah. Did I do the busy work first when I should have front loaded maybe the bigger stuff? But I still did it. But one of the things that I've learned to do is when I'm faced with a task that's daunting, I'm a little overwhelmed, it's like, oh my God, this is going to take forever. Chunk it down, shrink that mountain, dice it up into little pieces, or think of yourself as a mountain climber. I'm only going to go so many feet today, and then next, and take it in small bite size.
Yeah.
And the other thing I would say is it is okay to celebrate. Mike, I kind of talk out of both sides of mouth when I say this, and you're going to hear that a little later, so forgive me. But as I tell my clients, it is important to celebrate the wins as you go along. So as you chunk this down, it might not be completed, but do take credit for the fact that you're making progress and you're not shying away from it. You're not avoiding it.
Yes. Yeah. And that's what I learned a lot with that through that positive intelligence course, which I'm really enjoying. Avoider is my number one saboteur. My other one, the only one equal to that is pleaser, which we'll talk about on another show. But it is about energy. So if you get that going, and that negative energy is your saboteur. The more negative you keep, the more negative you're going to go. If you tell it to stop, you tell yourself to get over yourself, then you can start getting the positive energy, which is going to take you up. So that is like really important to celebrate those wins, like I said. And you don't have to like crack a bottle of champagne every time you put something on your checklist. Just check it, make a checklist that checks it. Or if you're not a checklist person, find some other way to just say, damn, that was good. Just tell yourself, or tell somebody else you did something. That's another way to celebrate. I think that's really important. And a lot of what Bruce just said, shrink the mountain, it's going to start with an action, right? So that's the third one here, is get clarity through action. And as he said, talking out of both sides of your mouth, this one's also a little bit, chicken before the egg type of thing, because yes, you need clarity to get started, but also clarity comes from action. So you need some clarity to get started and know where the road is going, but you will get more clarity as you're doing something. And we said that last week, like clarity is not a one-time deal. It may happen 10 times a day, it may happen 10 times a month, but a lot of that's because it comes from action, which is another reason, no matter how small that piece is, just get it started, and don't think about like, I mean, I guess like as a mountain climber, because I would never climb a mountain. That sounds stupid and dangerous to me. But let's pretend like I was.
I'll
Uh,
take the lift up
yeah,
with my
I'll
cocktail.
take the funicular thing up to the top. But you would like, you'd have to plan all this stuff. You'd have to buy equipment and you have to do this and you have to do that and you have to do that. That's totally enough to overwhelm you, right? Well, why don't you just take the first 50 feet up the mountain, see if you want to climb? And then you do it and like, okay, this is cool. Now I'm okay with buying all the equipment I need to go. And it's like that with anything, right? Maybe you're going to find that this thing you've been avoiding, you should avoid, but you're not going to know unless you start. So that's the third piece there. So we have name it to tame it, shrink the mountain, and celebrate those wins. And then the third thing is to get clarity through action.
And what I wanted to add to that is some of the clarity through action comes from failure.
Hmm.
So you
Most of it.
think through, yeah. So you think through what is that action I need to take? And as she already laid out there, you need to take action. But even if that action fails, you still had clarity. You now failed. It's better to fail forward to not do a damn thing at all
I said
because you're
that
going to learn
today
from that.
in
You're,
another podcast. I said fail forward and fail fast.
yeah, because you're going to learn. So when you take that next step or that next action, you're moving forward and you're going to have success. I mean, you
Yeah.
can't help it. So, yeah, that's all I wanted to add to that is that, don't fear the fear of failure shouldn't stop you from taking action.
No, which is another reason, thing you have to name. I think name entertainment probably needs a little more attention because we've already seen like how many things it could be. It could be you're overwhelmed. It could be a fear of failure. It could be you just don't like it. There's lots of reasons that we have these saboteurs or whatever they are in our lives. And it sounds easy to name it, but if you're a real, true, good procrastinator like me, I'm like procrastination queen. I'm so good at it. You are not thinking that way. You're just thinking of excuses that you don't have to do this crappy thing that is on your plate. So you're not thinking, gosh, let me get clarity and think about why I don't want to avoid it. It's a difficult thing to do, right? That's not real. So for me, I have to identify my tells that are like, okay, you're avoiding something, get to it. And that's the first step for me is I have to be aware that I need to name it to tame it because otherwise I'm just, oh, I should do this. Oh, you know what I haven't done? I haven't painted the porch. I haven't done this. I'll be all over the place before I do something I hate. So, I mean, one thing I know as a tell for me is if I am doing something I don't like. One thing is laundry. Like if you see me doing laundry, I am avoiding something because I hate laundry. And the fact that I'm like, oh gosh, I should do laundry means, oh gosh, I'm really avoiding something super big, unless we like really ran out. But that's a tell for me is I'm like, or sometimes if you see me walk, my neighbor said this. He's like, I saw you walk Ozzy like 6 times today. And I was like, yeah, that's because it's invoicing day. So I have to realize those are my tells. So, Bruce, we've got 2 minutes to break. I think that's plenty of time for you to talk more about your tells, name it to tame it, give some more like deeper stuff. And we can deep dive when we get back to, but give
Yeah,
us a,
yeah, I'm going to go back to just like you. Anytime I'm involved in a tedious task, I hate, I already said bookkeeping. So I try desperately to farm that to somebody else if at all
yeah,
possible. If not, I'll name it and I'll do it. I'll bust myself. The other thing is like reports and anything detailed or tedious. And so, and I'll be honest, if it's real easy, sometimes I also, as I said earlier, I like to do things, get the busy stuff out, chalk up my wins on my hit list. But sometimes I don't even put the real easy stuff on the hit list because it's kind of like, out of sight, out of mind. And
mm,
that could bite you in the butt. So I'll save, I'll do a deeper dive as to what the tells are and how we might counter those tells when we come back from break.
yeah. And on break, think about your tells. What do you think your tells are? All right,
Yes,
Jesse,
because we have an assignment at the end.
we
We
have
have
homework.
another little challenge for the
I
week like we
know.
did
We're
last week.
so fun. We're so good. All right, Jesse, take us to.
Right.
Ooh,
So the host has disabled my video.
okay. I got video. I can look at myself. I had to put my hair up too. It's getting hot. That's one thing about champagne when you're an old lady. Damn,
There
that's
we
a
go.
lot. All right, Bruce is back. Okay, Bruce, let's talk about name it, tame it. I know you got a lot of stuff to say. Talk.
Well, yeah, and you're going to have to chime in. Um, so, what I want to do is I'm going to just take, there's like about a half a dozen that are really popular. And I'm hoping, I know, like we say, we don't go with a script, but we know what topics we're going to cover. And we kind of know the questions because we know each other pretty well that we're going to get asked. And one of the things I did just for the hell of it was kind of put together a list. And then I went out with AI and said, well, how does this compare? What are some of the normal behaviors? So, me personally, as well as with AI, this is kind of what I extracted. So, the first one we've already covered is the task avoidance. When something is big and complex, we tend to avoid it. And as we already said, rather than avoid it, chunk it out, chunk
Yeah.
it down. So that was number one on the list. And I do think,
Hey, real
uh,
quick on that one, I saw a great example. It this is not in business, but it said like, so your wife tells you to go clean up the garage, and you think, oh
mm,
my God, like don't clean up the garage, clean up one shelf. And you clean up one shelf, and all of a sudden you'll say, oh, there's another shelf. I thought that was a really good example of
it
something
is.
big
That
task
is.
that's like just everybody has. Okay,
The
go ahead. I cut you off.
the second one was, and I already alluded to this. I like to do the easy stuff over the important stuff just so I get my juices flowing in the morning and I can check things off. However, that can lead sometimes to not completing one of the more important tasks in a timely manner. So how you would counter that is you just block and I tell this to all my clients, you have to get out and block your calendar. So not only when you get clarity do you come up with a set of tasks or things you're going to do for the day, you want to make sure your calendar reflects that so nobody can impede on your productive time, reflective time, whatever it is you need. So that's the thing is to plug those in first. And so I'm forever having to what I'll do if on one day I cheat a little, that next day that task is front and center on my calendar at the start of the day when I'm fresh. Any
Awesome.
thoughts on that, Angie? Any other comments on that?
Well, I will say, and we're going to get to this later, because like I said, this is something I'm very good at, procrastination. Um, I do that. I have tons of business coaches in my life, and they're all very good. So I have a very color coded, down to the minute calendar. The problem is a good example. I decided I wanted to go to the gym. So I put time in there to go to the gym, blocked it out. I did make it gray. Jim said he's like, you should make it yellow, make it a happy color. I'm like, yeah, but it's a sad color. I don't like the gym. So I blocked that time out. And guess what I did? I didn't do it. I was like, yeah, it's kind of an optional one. So the other things we're talking about, I named it, right? Because I had that block and I did that thing. But that's why we're going to need some of the other things that Bruce is saying, because sometimes name and entertainment isn't enough. And in that case, it wasn't for me. Sometimes it is. Yeah. So I think that's a great example of how you block stuff off. And then you may need further accountability. You may need to mix and match some of these three things to like really get it done. Cause I know I do on the big ones. All right.
Yeah.
Keep
The
us
third
going.
one that came up, and this is a big problem for me. So, for all my clients, if anybody's watching, this is where you cover your ears, don't listen, don't watch, because you're going to say, that bastard, he kicks my ass all the time. And I fall prey to it. So, and they are over planning, over researching, or this thing called perfection. So I'm actually combining two, over planning and this idea it has to be perfect. It's gotten so bad, and as hard as I try, I still tend to over plan or say, well, I'm not going to release that quite yet. It's yeah, I just and so I actually have to hire somebody to keep me in check. So I get coached. So I've got a couple of people I reach out to, and this is what they say. Bruce, it's okay to learn on the fly.
Yeah.
Okay.
Progress over
Done,
perfection.
d- done is better than perfect.
Yeah.
Another one is, using deadlines to force completion. But I kid you not, I have two people that I rely on when I'm dealing with something fairly complex and it's going to have an impact on my business. I will sometimes fall prey to this. So I've got a couple of people that I know aren't going to tolerate me, aren't afraid to tell me where the bear in the woods. And they flat out will say, Bruce, get your ass going.
Yeah.
And like I said, done is better than perfect. It's okay to learn as you go.
Something else that I have, have a quote from Mark Twain that sits right. You guys can't see it because it's right in front of me. It's really big. And it says, the secret to getting ahead is getting started. And that's something else that I do because if I sit down to where I want to procrastinate, I look up and I see that. I'm like, you're right. I'm never going to get up the mountain if I don't drive to it and get out of the car. Right. So that's another thing that you can do is if you have a quote that motivates you or something, maybe it's a picture of something you want that's motivating you or something that's scary, whatever. That's something small you can do to keep yourself going too.
Yeah. And it's something to think about too as you work in teams is make sure you have those people on the
Yes.
team, that where you complement one another's strengths and weaknesses. It
Yeah.
all begins, as we said in our very first awareness as to who you are, what you're good at, what you're not so good at. We all fall into those categories in some way or fashion. Is it's okay. It's okay to get help.
Oh,
It's okay to ask for
absolutely.
help. And all right, so another one, and we've all seen these people. Well, I work better when I'm under pressure.
Uh,
We don't have that. Don't worry about it. I got it. Well, I could knock that out. No, no, nobody sweat. When I'm under the gun, that's when I'm the best. Well, that's bullshit. Something is being compromised in all of that. And if certainly you're working with other people, you may be compromising them as well. So that's another big one that stands out. And it's called rationalizing the delay or this last minute sprint mentality. And we all know people that fall into that. And quite frankly, we've all done it.
yeah. Oh, definitely.
So
Definitely, definitely.
and then I would say probably there's a couple more. The one is just ignoring or avoiding something that's, a little uncomfortable. And I can honestly say I've gotten into trouble when I'm dealing with a large scale project and there's contracts, a lot of moving parts, hundreds of people are involved. There are probably 6 to 7 contracts. It's very easy to say, okay, this one contract, the negotiation on this one contract isn't quite there. And for whatever reasons, you can easily fall prey to just saying, well, I'll get to that. We've got these
Mm,
other things that are more pressing. I'll get to that. And it's almost as if you're wishing that it's magically going to get done or you're
yeah.
going to get that agreement. And I've been burned a couple of times where things actually got canceled because I didn't want to lean into that discomfort because I knew things weren't going as well I was like, but I got all this other stuff I'm doing. And
And that's
that,
where clarity comes back in, right? Because
yes,
you got to focus, you got to keep your priorities straight, even if you don't like them. Sometimes you have to know, like, this is what I have to do to get done. I think that's really important. And then as
yeah,
we move on a little bit, because I want to make sure we get to all of them, the shrinking the mountain part. I think that's the next big step. So okay, these are my things I don't like. These are reasons I'm doing it. Bruce did an awesome job of going through all those because now you can see how many there are. And he probably has more, but we only have an hour. So, but now it's like, okay, I got him. I'm calling him out. How do I get started? And I mean, there's a lot of different things you can do. One thing I see like even when my kid was in school and they had to write all these papers, right? He always put it off, right? Because he didn't know what to do. And I always told him, don't start in the beginning. And he's like, Mom, that's so dumb because he's very scientific. I said, no, seriously, just start in the middle. Start with whatever point you want to take. And then you can always go back. Things don't have to be the way you expect them, which is that progress over perfection thing. Or another one I've heard is panic is the enemy of production, all these things. But whatever it is, you got to find that one piece. So, what are some examples that you have, Bruce, of like that one, like when you're talking to your clients and they have this thing that they're just avoiding, this big mountain they're staring at? What are some of the like really like good examples of that first step that you get them to take?
Well, as I had mentioned earlier, is that every week we outline at the start of the meeting what the wins were from the prior weeks. What were the misses? What were things that you planned to get done that you didn't? And we don't just name them. We talk about, even in case of the wins, well, what made you so successful? But even when we talk about the misses, what led to the miss? Why did that occur? Because we try to get at root cause. And then we talk about the goals for the next week. And one of the big things I stress in this day and age, with things moving as fast as they are for young startups, I say stick, no doubt there's a vision and there's a long-term strategy. But when it comes to planning, we literally do a 30, 60, 90 days.
Oh, that's good. See,
And
he's
what
already
we,
getting into the third one, which is the get clarity from action because he's got to
yes,
start it. Bruce has
yes,
him start it, and then he's got these plans, and then he's going
yep.
back to them. No
And
wonder you make the big bucks as a coach.
well,
Good at
you
it.
know, I like to double everybody's sales at least within 12 months. And typically we do that. But the
Amazing.
reality is it's that 30, 60, 90. So what happens is that, they're amazed at how much the 60-day outlook changed based on the 30 days of action they took. Because in there were some wins, but there were also some misses. So we recalibrate. So even the 60-day view changes. And Katie barred the door half the time by the time you get into the 90-day portion that was initially laid out, because we literally write everything out on a board. Here's what's going to get done in this 30, 69. That 90-day changes, sometimes wholesale, because of the learnings that occurred by taking the action.
Yeah.
Just take the action. We have clarity. You could see it in front of us. We got it written down. Now execute. And there will be failure, but like you
And
said,
it's
fail
a
fast.
cycle.
Recalibrate.
Yeah,
Just fail.
recalibrate, get more clarity. But you would never know that that's where you need to go if you hadn't started. Like you gotta,
Yeah.
that's the thing about getting clarity through action. Okay, we do have one more break. Then we're gonna come back and wrap up and give everybody something to do. So you're
Well,
gonna
just
stop
one
procrastinating.
second. I just want to point out that weekly review is on that 30, 60, 90 days. So you see how it all ties together? So plenty of time to be proactive. And that's how you double your business every quarter or at least every 12 months. All right.
All right. That commercial made me miss Natej too. I was like, oh,
Yeah.
he's so
I
adorable.
did my best Dr. D impression. Not so good, but you can tell the alcohol always settles
Yeah.
in
He'd
this
say,
segment.
so Bruce, tell us, what's your one takeaway? And we're getting there. We're getting there. So we're almost going to do the takeaways. I just wanted to real quick. I think Bruce is brilliant all the time, but he really hit on something that last time that's a big part of procrastination. We kind of did it the whole time, but I just really want to throw it like right in front of everybody. Accountability. It has to be now, and it may be many different types of accountability for the many different things you're avoiding. So for me, I hate the gym. I have to have someone that's waiting for me there because I won't let somebody else down. But if it's just me, I got other things to do. I have a marketing mastermind that happens once a month, the LinkedIn loop thing. And everybody that comes, they have to bring a post. And some of them, they started saying like, oh man, homework. But these are people that are doing the marketing mastermind and they're not doing posts. So now it's like, okay, there are, 20 people here that are waiting for your post. We need the link to your post. So whatever you're doing, make sure you have an accountability partner, an accountability group, something that's holding you accountable, to help you get these things done. Because if we leave it to ourselves, we can name it to tame it, we can shrink the mountain, we can get clarity through action, and we still struggle. And that's where accountability helps us.
You
So,
know,
Bruce, oh,
Angie, it's incredible what you just said. Our first episode was awareness, action, and
and
accountability.
accountability. Yeah.
And you could
Damn if
talk
those
to,
suckers don't keep coming back.
yeah. Well, and you could talk to the whole coaching industry is really based on awareness, action, and accountability. But it's interesting because the other thing I was thinking of, you talked about accountability partners. Well, how I met Angie is I just couldn't get started with any digital media. So I gave her a call because I heard she was pretty good. Well, it didn't take long for her to start kicking me in the ass and take the action. But that's exactly what she did is she brought accountability to my digital market. I couldn't get away with, well, I'm not quite ready. You do. Should we put that out now?
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. And then as she said, then the bucks start to flow in.
Mhm.
And it's like,
Yeah. Then
damn, am
things
I
start
glad I got
moving.
Angie?
Yeah, and stuff like that too. Sometimes these things that we put off, like it takes 3 to 6 months to really get marketing stuff moving. That's why a lot of marketers say, look, minimum 6 months, because it takes a while. And think about it, the longer you're waiting, just get the crap out there and get started, because then you're already starting the wheel. And by the time the wheel's spinning where people see it, you got good stuff and you're ready because you got clarity through action. Okay, so Bruce has some homework for us, things that we can do daily. I'm also going to do these myself because, like I said, queen of procrastination, and I think these are awesome. So, walk us through our weekly challenge. Let's not call it homework, that's a dirty word. Our weekly
Yeah.
challenge, Bruce.
Yes. And so we're doing this now because we did get some feedback from some listeners that this has been very helpful. Somebody said, yes, they're kind of funny and, Bruce is a little quirky. And,
Come on,
and
we're really
God,
funny
Angie
people.
is so relatable and the Dr. D, but what they take away most are the action items because again, it's easy to poo-poo this stuff. Oh, well, that's obvious. Well, I challenge you. If it's so obvious, then do it. So this week, write down one example where you catch yourself procrastinating, where it's like, I'm not going to do that yet. Write it down. Define why are you putting it off? This is that name it to tame it. Why are you putting it off? Because if you say to me right now that it's not important, then why the hell is it even on your list?
Bingo.
The third thing, decide the first tiny step and write it down to now doing it. If you've named it and it's like, oh shit, busted, I got to do this. Just take the first. So if you're writing a report, just write the title of the report.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe that's all you do today is write the title and write a rough draft of the outline.
Yeah.
Just that. Don't burden yourself with, oh shit, I got to have this 5-page report. No. And then the fourth is take the first tiny step. So when you say, here's what I need to do, and you write it down, do it.
Yeah. Next one's do it.
Do it. That action we talked about.
Yeah.
And then check it off your list. That's a little bit about the accountability. Did you do it? And can you now check it off? So write down one example where you catch yourself procrastinating. Define why are you putting it off. Decide that very first tiny step you're going to take and write it down. Do it. And then celebrate. Take that sip of wine at night and say, I knocked it out today.
Cheers.
Bloody hey. Oh, he's
Yeah.
going to kill me. Dr. D's going to kill me for that. He's going to say, that was embarrassing,
He
Bruce.
does always tell us not to do British accents. We think it's fun. Kind of pisses him off.
Yeah, it
He
does.
can't stop us either.
And he's
We're
probably
unsupervised.
watching. He's
I
probably
know.
watching
He probably is. He's probably
as he,
like
tou- as he
cringing right
tours
now.
Europe for the fifth time this year.
And he's not going to leave us unsupervised again.
No, no.
So, but I love those steps. And I think something really important that Bruce said, and do not shirk this, write it down. You can think in your head, you've got it. You can think in your head. I cannot tell you the importance. When I was getting my master's degree, I did a class on adult education, and the studies are overwhelming of the connection between our hand and our brain to write it down. Don't get me, I type all day long, but there is such a connection. It's so important. And it also helps with your accountability. So I highly, highly stress write it down. If you don't have a pen, let me know. I'll send you one.
Well, and the other thing, and we spent a fair amount of time by, to your point, writing it down, we learned the neuroscience of clarity. It relaxes your mind. If it's written down, you're not no longer thinking, God, I wonder what if and buts and candy and nuts, when it all be a Merry Christmas? That all goes away. That all goes away. And you won't have near the anxiety, you won't have near the stress. So write it down. It really works.
Yeah, it
Um,
helps with
you
all the
know,
things we talked about: time management, clarity,
yep.
awareness, action. All these things are tying together and going in the same place. But that write it down, it really does. It takes the stress out. That's one of the reasons I like writing lists. I know I do have ones that are typed up. I like writing it because it takes the anxiety away from me just to have it written down. Like I haven't even gone to the store yet, or I haven't gone through my day, but it takes the anxiety of me, and I'm saying I won't miss it because it's on my list. I have a plan. It will be there. It's on my list. So yeah,
And
really important.
Noelle, my better half, is forever saying, Bruce, add this to your list, because then she can relax. She's much calmer because she knows I got it on my list.
Yeah, no, so true. God, she's so adorable too. I love I really do. I just adore her. But that's that all those things are so important. So just recapping, the strategy is basically name it to tame it, shrink the mountain, get clarity through action. Bruce gave you all the 5 steps that we're going to do. So write down what you're procrastinating, why you're doing it, the first tiny step you're going to do, and then check it off your list. All right, Bruce, before we go, what is the one major takeaway you have from today that you want to share with our awesome audience that keeps listening to us?
Name it to tame it. I like that. I like that. The other thing I want to point out is next week we have a world renowned economist going to be joining us as a guest.
Yeah.
And, we talk about everything that's going on in the economy. And he not only takes a U.S. view, he'll take a world view as well. I'm not going to say who it is, but when you see it in the invite, you can look him up. He is quite the expert, and we can't wait to talk. Are we all going broke?
Yeah, he's going to tell us all if we're going broke or not. So I'm pretty excited to hear this one too. Yeah, so
Yeah.
join us next week. We have a guest. Do want to thank everybody for being with us again today. I hope that you enjoyed our show. If you missed any reruns, check out our YouTube channel, Serving Up Success with a Splash. Like and subscribe. We appreciate each and every one of you. And until next week, here we go, Hugo. Get it done. Cheers.
Yeah. Cheers.